It was a warm evening outside one of the city's most luxurious restaurants. The valet cars gleamed under the streetlights, and patrons in designer outfits laughed and clinked glasses. But near the entrance, away from the glitter and glamour, a small figure stood quietly, a 9-year-old girl clutching a worn guitar. Her tiny hands gripped the neck tightly, and her eyes scanned the bustling street nervously. She was trying to sell her father's guitar for just 100, a simple wish, a desperate hope to keep a memory alive. But the crowd paid her no attention. People hurried past, absorbed in their own lives, barely noticing the girl's earnest, trembling voice as she called out timidly. Then, out of the crowd, came a figure that made heads turn immediately. Ozzy Osbourne, the legendary rock star, leather jacket, round sunglasses, and that unmistakable presence that could silence any room. He walked casually, as if he didn't notice the world buzzing around him. But then he paused. Something caught his eye. The little girl standing there alone, holding a guitar. Ozzy slowed his pace. People nearby whispered in awe. Phones were raised. "He's that Ozzy Osbourne," someone murmured. He crouched slightly to her level, giving her his full attention. "Hey there, what's going on?" he asked, his voice calm, genuine. The girl's heart raced. She wasn't used to attention, certainly not from a music legend. She stammered, I'm trying to sell my dad's guitar for 100 just to, help." Her voice cracked, her eyes darting down at the pavement. Ozzy nodded slowly, studying her carefully. He didn't interrupt, he didn't judge. He simply listened. There was a weight in the air, the kind of silence where everyone around senses that something remarkable is about to happen. Passers-by stopped mid-step, and a few more people discreetly pulled out their phones. No one moved, no one spoke. Everyone was waiting. Because when a rock legend stops for a little girl on the sidewalk, and when she begins to reveal her story, you know it's going to be unforgettable. No one expected Ozzy Osbourne to stop. But when he did, everyone froze.
Ozzy Osbourne had stopped walking, his eyes fixed on the small figure clutching the guitar. Around them, the bustling city seemed to slow down. People paused mid-step, glancing at the unusual sight, a rock legend stopping for a child outside a luxury restaurant. Phones were raised, cameras ready. He crouched slightly to meet her eye level, letting the moment feel personal, unhurried. "Hey, little one," he said softly. "What's going on here? Why are you standing out here with that guitar?" The girl froze for a moment, overwhelmed by the presence of someone she had only seen on TV. Her heart raced. She swallowed hard, then in a quiet, trembling voice, explained. I'm trying to sell my dad's guitar for 100. Hey, he used to play it every day, and I want to keep it, but I also need a little help." Her words cracked, and her small hands gripped the guitar tighter. Ozzy tilted his head, listening carefully. He didn't laugh. He didn't dismiss her. Instead, he nodded, his expression softening. His eyes seemed to widen just slightly, taking in not the guitar, but the story, the struggle, the courage in front of him. Around them, whispers began spreading. "Is that Ozzy Osbourne? No way, he's actually talking to her. Someone's filming this." Phones were already recording, capturing the encounter. A small crowd began forming, intrigued by the unusual sight, a celebrity engaging with a child so sincerely, not for fame, not for a photo op, but because he genuinely wanted to listen. The girl's voice grew steadier as she continued, encouraged by his calm attention. I just wanted to sell this guitar. Maybe someone would buy it, I just want to remember him." Her eyes welled up. Ozzy's hand reached gently toward the guitar, not touching it, just hovering near it as if honoring its memory.
"I see,"
he said quietly. "This guitar, it means a lot to you, huh?" The girl nodded, "Yes, sir, it's all I have from my dad." For a moment, the bustling city, the luxury cars, the distant chatter, all of it disappeared. It was just Ozzy and the girl. A quiet, profound connection. And then, something shifted. Ozzy's expression changed from curiosity to something deeper: surprise, compassion, and a faint glimmer of emotion he rarely showed in public. He leaned in slightly. "You know, I've seen a lot of guitars, but I've never met someone who loves theirs like you do." The crowd leaned in, sensing the gravity of the moment. Some couldn't help whispering, "Wow, he's really listening. He actually cares." Suspense hung in the air. Everyone wanted to know, what would he do next? Would he walk away? Would he just smile and leave? Or would he do something extraordinary? Have you ever had a celebrity stop for you like this? Comment where you're watching from. Ozzy Osbourne didn't answer immediately. He simply studied the girl, letting her story sink in. And in that moment, Everyone watching, whether in person or through a screen, knew something unforgettable was about to happen. Because when Ozzy stops, it's never just a glance. The girl took a shaky breath, her small fingers tightening around the worn neck of the guitar. Ozzy Osbourne crouched slightly, maintaining eye contact, giving her the rare gift of undivided attention. The crowd around them had grown, though silently, like spectators in a theater. Everyone instinctively knew this was a story worth hearing. I'm trying to sell this guitar," she began, her voice barely above a whisper. "It was my dad's. He loved music more than anything. Every day he'd play this guitar. And then," her voice faltered, tears welling in her eyes. "Then he passed away last month." A hush fell over the crowd. The city noise, the honking cars, the chatter of restaurant patrons, even the hum of neon signs, seemed to fade into the background. All eyes were on her, and all hearts silently beat in empathy. Ozzy leaned in a little closer, his face softening. I'm so sorry, little one," he said gently. His voice carried a rare sincerity that seemed to shake even the adults standing nearby. The girl blinked back tears, nodding quickly. I just want to keep something that reminds me of him. But I need some money to pay for his things, the bills he left behind. I just don't know what to do." Her story was simple, yet the honesty cut deeper than any script or headline could. She was only a child, standing alone against a world that often ignored the quiet struggles. And here was Ozzy Osbourne, the Prince of Darkness himself, listening without interruption, without judgment, giving her the dignity she deserved. Phones clicked, cameras rolled, people whispered. "She's telling Ozzy her story. Look at his face, he's actually listening. Someone get this on video." The girl's voice trembled, but she found courage in his attention. "My friends and some neighbors say I should just give up. But I can't. This guitar, it's all I have from him. It's my memory. My dad, he believed in me. I want to do the right thing for him." Ozzy Osbourne remained silent for a moment, absorbing her words. Then, in a soft, deliberate tone, he asked, "Did your dad ever play for anyone famous? Was this guitar special?" The girl's eyes widened, and she nodded. He played at a small band once. He never got famous, but music was his life. "This guitar, it's more than wood and strings. It's my dad." Ozzy's expression shifted subtly. There was surprise, yes, but also a quiet reverence. This wasn't just a story about a guitar or a sale. It was about love, loss, and the strength of a child holding onto her father's memory. A small smile tugged at his lips. "You know," he said, almost to himself, "I've seen a lot of guitars in my life, but not many carry a story like this." The crowd leaned in even closer, sensing something remarkable was about to happen. Some whispered among themselves, "Look at Ozzy's eyes. He's tearing up. Who would have thought? He's actually moved by a child's story." The girl, encouraged by his attention, continued, "I just want someone to understand that this guitar isn't just for money. It's my dad's heart, and I don't want it to be forgotten." Ozzy nodded slowly. His face softened further. He studied the guitar, then the girl, then the crowd. There was a quiet intensity in the air, a mixture of suspense, hope, and anticipation. Everyone waiting silently for his next move. Because when a legend like Ozzy Osbourne pauses to listen, people know that the next moment could change everything. The question hanging over the crowd was clear. Pop. What will Ozzy do now? Will he just leave? Or will he do something unforgettable? The girl's small hands trembled as she clutched the guitar, but now her voice carried a mix of pride and nervous excitement. She looked up at Ozzy Osbourne, who crouched patiently, giving her the space to speak her truth. The crowd around them had grown even larger, their murmurs hushed, sensing that something extraordinary was about to unfold. "My dad, he wasn't just any musician," the girl said, her voice gaining strength. "He used to play in a band that inspired people. People we didn't even know. And this guitar," she paused, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "He wrote his last song on it. The song, he called it For Hope. He said it was his gift to the world." Ozzy's eyebrows shot up. He leaned in, his expression now one of genuine surprise. "Wait, he wrote his last song on this guitar, and it has a name." His voice was softer, almost reverent. The girl nodded quickly, a small quiver in her lips. "Yes." And no one else knows it exists. I wanted to sell it to help my family, but I also wanted someone who understands music to hear it, to keep it safe. I wanted it to matter." Ozzy's eyes widened. The leather, the sunglasses, the stage persona, all melted away. Here was a child, barely 9 years old, standing with courage and conviction, carrying the legacy of her father in her hands, a guitar, a story, a heart. And now, the weight of that gift was in his presence. The crowd leaned forward instinctively, some holding their phones higher, sensing the gravity of the moment. People whispered, "Did she just say her dad wrote a song on that guitar?" Ozzy looks shocked. He's actually emotional. This isn't just a random guitar. This is something historic in a way. Ozzy's fingers hovered just above the guitar strings, careful not to touch them. He exhaled slowly, as if trying to process the magnitude of the story. "I've played a lot of guitars in my life," he murmured, "but I've never held one that carries someone's soul in it." The girl's eyes widened at his words. You really understand," she whispered. "I do," he said softly, meeting her gaze. "And I think your dad would be proud of you, that you're keeping his story alive." A faint smile appeared on the girl's face, and for the first time, her tension seemed to ease. But the twist wasn't over yet. She opened the guitar case carefully, showing him the song handwritten on yellowed paper, notes scratched in her father's flowing script. This is the actual song," she said, voice trembling. He wanted it to inspire people. I don't know if I can sell it for money, but I want someone who loves music to understand its meaning." Ozzy's jaw dropped slightly. He reached out, gently taking the paper with reverence. The crowd gasped audibly. Phones recorded the moment, capturing every nuance, the shock, the respect, the emotion. A hush fell over everyone present. Ozzy, the man who had rocked stadiums worldwide, was visibly moved, not by fame, not by cameras, not by the flash of social media, but by the story, the music, and the heart of a little girl keeping her father's legacy alive. Ozzy whispered. His voice was softer than anyone had ever heard in public. I wasn't expecting this. This is incredible. Your dad, he was something special." The crowd erupted in quiet applause, smiles, and tears. But Ozzy remained focused on the girl, not the attention. He had stopped for a reason, and that reason had revealed itself. This guitar was not just an instrument. It was a bridge between generations, a legacy of love, and a story that could inspire the world. And in that moment, everyone knew that the story had just shifted. What seemed like a simple sidewalk encounter had transformed into something unforgettable. Because when Ozzy Osbourne's eyes widen in shock, and a child reveals a secret legacy, the world cannot look away. Ozzy Osbourne looked down at the small girl, the guitar, and the sheet of music with a mix of astonishment and reverence. The bustling city, the luxury cars, the noise of the restaurant, none of it mattered anymore. All that existed in that moment was her story, her courage, and her father's legacy. He lowered his sunglasses, letting his eyes meet hers fully. "You know," he said slowly, his voice softer than anyone had ever heard him speak in public. "I've played a lot of guitars in my lifetime. I've been on stages in front of thousands of people. But I've never met someone who cherishes a guitar like you do." The girl's eyes widened, a mixture of awe and disbelief. You really understand," she whispered. Ozzy nodded. "I do, and I think your dad, he would be proud of you. That you're standing here, sharing his music, keeping his story alive." There was a brief pause. The world seemed to hold its breath. Passersby stopped walking. People in the restaurant peered through the glass doors. Cameras from phones hovered, capturing every second of the exchange. Every whisper, every gasp, every tear was being recorded, the atmosphere electric with anticipation. Then Ozzy did something completely unexpected. He crouched even lower, close enough that the girl could feel the warmth in his voice. "I want you to know," he said slowly, "that this guitar and your dad's song, they matter. They matter to me, and I want to help you make sure this memory, this music doesn't get lost." The girl's mouth fell open. You mean it?" she asked, voice trembling. Ozzy smiled gently. "I do. You're brave, you're honest, and anyone who loves music as much as your dad did deserves respect. I want to buy the guitar from you, but I don't just want to take it. I want to honor your dad. And if you're willing, I'd like to help share this song with the world, so it reaches people like he intended." Her eyes welled with tears, and the small crowd around them erupted in murmurs of awe. Did he just say he's going to share her dad's song? Wow, Ozzy actually cares! This is incredible. The girl's hands trembled as she offered the guitar. "I don't know what to say. Thank you so much." Ozzy shook his head, placing a comforting hand near hers, careful not to touch the guitar. "You don't have to say anything. Just promise me you'll keep believing in music, and in your dad's memory." "That's enough." The girl nodded, tears streaming down her face, now a mixture of relief, joy, and disbelief. She could barely form words. Ozzy glanced at the crowd. Phones were still recording, but he didn't care about the attention. He cared about the story, the girl, and the legacy. He knelt slightly, as if sharing a quiet secret with the child. "You see," he said softly, "sometimes life gives us moments like this, moments where we can make a difference. Today we're doing that." For the first time that evening, the girl smiled without hesitation. She felt seen, she felt understood, and she felt that her father's memory, and his song, was safe in the hands of someone who truly respected it. The crowd around them erupted in applause, some crying quietly, some whispering praise, but Ozzy remained focused on the girl, not the attention. He had come to a simple decision: to act with kindness, to honor a memory, and to inspire hope. And in that moment, the encounter became more than a celebrity stopping for a child. It became a lesson in empathy, respect, and generosity, a reminder that even the smallest act of attention can change a life forever. The question hanging in the air was no longer what would Ozzy do. It had become how will the world respond to this incredible act of kindness. Because when Ozzy Osbourne stops, and when he responds with heart, the world pays attention. By the time Ozzy Osbourne stepped back, the crowd had grown noticeably larger. What had begun as a quiet encounter outside a luxury restaurant had transformed into a public spectacle of genuine kindness. People whispered, phones clicked, and videos began circulating almost instantly. But the focus remained on the girl, clutching the guitar, and on Ozzy, who had taken a moment to honor her father's memory in a way no one expected. The girl's face glowed with a mixture of disbelief, joy, and relief. For the first time, she realized that her small act of courage, standing outside, trying to sell her father's guitar, had created a ripple that reached far beyond the street corner. "Thank you," she said again, voice trembling. I can't believe this is happening." Ozzy smiled, gently nodding. "You don't need to believe it. You lived it. That's what matters." Around them, onlookers began sharing the moment on social media. Videos went live on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. Captions highlighted the scene. Ozzy Osbourne stops for a little girl trying to sell her late father's guitar, and what happens next is incredible. Within minutes, the story was spreading. Comments poured in. "Wow, Ozzy Osbourne is amazing. This little girl is so brave. I've never seen such genuine kindness from a celebrity." News outlets picked up the clip. Headlines ran on entertainment sites, local news, and international platforms. People around the world were inspired not just by Ozzy's fame, but by his humility, empathy, and respect for someone else's story. The girl's story became a symbol. She wasn't just selling a guitar. She was standing up for her father's memory, showing resilience, and reminding the world that courage comes in the smallest packages. And Ozzy's response made it clear that kindness can amplify that courage beyond measure. For Ozzy, the impact was subtle but profound. He didn't post it online himself, nor did he seek attention. He simply returned to his car, leaving the girl with the guitar and the memory of the encounter. Yet, every camera and every phone had captured it, preserving the moment for the world to witness. The girl's family, who had been watching nervously from a distance, rushed forward. They embraced her, tears streaming, overwhelmed by the kindness shown by someone they had only ever admired from afar. The guitar, now more than just an instrument, had become a bridge between grief and hope, memory and inspiration, and everywhere people were talking. The message was clear: one small act of attention and care can have a global impact. Social media flooded with praise, encouraging stories, and personal reflections. People were sharing it not just because Ozzy is a legend, but because the story reminded everyone that human kindness, attention, respect, empathy, still exists in a world that often feels indifferent. In that moment, outside the restaurant, the girl learned something she would never forget: that bravery, honesty, and love can touch hearts far beyond the confines of your own small world. And for everyone who witnessed it, whether in person, on camera, or online, the story had already begun to inspire countless acts of hope, compassion, and generosity. Because when a legend like Ozzy stops and responds with his heart, the impact isn't measured in fame. It's measured in the lives changed, the tears turned to smiles, and the ripples of kindness spreading across the world. By the next morning, the story of Ozzy Osbourne and the little girl with her father's guitar had exploded online. Videos recorded by onlookers were shared across every platform imaginable: TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. Within hours, millions of views had poured in. People everywhere were watching, commenting, and sharing, captivated by the unlikely encounter that had touched hearts across the globe. News outlets quickly picked up the story. Headlines read, Ozzy Osbourne stops for 9 year, old girl trying to sell her dad's guitar. What happens next will melt your heart. And legendary rocker shows incredible kindness to young girl, inspires millions. On social media, viewers shared not just the story but also their reactions. She's so brave, and Ozzy, he's a real hero. Sometimes small acts change lives. This proves it. I've watched this 10 times already, tears every single time. The girl, once nervous and unsure, was now receiving messages of encouragement from all over the world. People sent letters, gifts, and notes, praising her courage and offering support. The guitar, once just a symbol of loss, had become a symbol of hope, love, and resilience. Ozzy's role in the story resonated deeply. Fans weren't simply admiring him for his fame or music career, they were moved by his humility, empathy, and the quiet, thoughtful way he responded. In a world where celebrity encounters often feel staged or performative, this moment had been authentic, heartfelt, and unforgettable. Across social media, the hashtag #OzzyStopsForHope began trending. Memes, posts, and reaction videos flooded the platforms, highlighting both the girl's bravery and Ozzy's kindness. Millions were inspired to act in their own communities, to help, listen, and acknowledge the small acts of courage happening around them every day. The story even caught the attention of music legends, philanthropists, and journalists, all sharing it as an example of humanity at its finest. Interviews with the girl and her family appeared online, where she spoke simply but powerfully. "I just wanted someone to understand my dad." And he did. Ozzy understood him. That's all I wanted. For the girl, this was life-changing. Not just because of the support she received, but because of the affirmation that kindness can come from anyone, even the most unexpected places. Ozzy's response didn't just honor her father's memory, it gave her a story to carry forward, one of courage, integrity, and the power of human connection. And for everyone watching, the lesson was clear: small acts of empathy can go viral for all the right reasons. It doesn't take fame, money, or power to make a difference. Sometimes all it takes is attention, understanding, and a willingness to act from the heart. As the day turned to night, the girl hugged the guitar tightly, tears streaming, but now mixed with joy. Ozzy had walked away quietly, not seeking attention, leaving behind a moment that would echo far beyond the streets of that city. The video of their encounter continues to be shared, millions inspired by a story that proves one thing: kindness spreads faster than fame, and it leaves a legacy stronger than any song or guitar could. If you believe acts of kindness can change lives, type kindness in the comments and subscribe for more inspiring stories like this one.